Kia ora. Welcome to Down to Earth Conversations, where we hear from ordinary people who are helping to bring a bit of heaven down to earth. I'm Andrew Dixon. It's good to have you here.
On Earth.
On Earth.
On Earth.
On Earth as it is in heaven.
On Earth as it is.
On Earth as it is.
On Earth as it is.
in heaven. Down to Earth.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Down to Earth Conversations. Thanks to all those who've joined us in the last couple of weeks. We've had a number of new likes and a whole lot of new listens. So, if that's you, a big warm welcome to the Down to Earth Conversations family. And to those who have been part of this for a while, who've been listening in and supporting what we're doing, great welcome to you guys as well. Now, it was my privilege to sit down with artist Michelle Green and hear her journey, which involves some fairly dramatic ups and downs, some things being taken away and some things being handed back. So, a real amazing journey. To be honest, I don't think I've said the word wow so often in an interview before. And you'll hear it as we go through that there are just so many places where I'm lost for words and wow is the only response I've got. Sometimes for really terrible reasons, sometimes for fantastic reasons. And so, we're in for a real treat today. Now, if you haven't seen any of Michelle's artworks before, I'd really encourage you to pause this and go and have a look at Michelle Green Artist page on Facebook. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well, so you can find it really easily. But if you go and have a look at her art, then I think her story is even more compelling when you see how good she is at what she does. So head along and do that, and then come back. So if you've seen her artworks, you will know that she is very talented, that she has an incredible gift, and as well as that, she has also got a big heart for sharing that gift with others, for encouraging others into doing painting, for showing them that they can do it if they think they can't, and just using the skills that she has to help to bring a bit of heaven down to the earth in the lives of those around her. So, it's a wonderful conversation. This is episode 13 of Down to Earth Conversations. Here's Michelle Green.
Well, two of my friends were artists. One of them was Charlie Ray, and she just said, come on to my place and do some painting with me. And did some painting, and she took my original painting that I had done on YouTube. I just followed a YouTube painting instruction and gave it to Alison Hale, who is she's quite a well-known artist. And they were like, oh, wow, you should be at the gallery.
We're sitting here in your beautiful studio. There's lots of beautiful artworks that nobody else can see, but I'm appreciating being able to see them. Why don't you start just by telling us where you're from and what is it that you do with your time?
I was born in Christchurch.
Cool.
And I've lived here until I was, I don't know, age. I lived here for ages.
Yeah, we don't have to quite.
No, and then my husband got a job mining over in Reefton, and so we moved over to Reefton, and we were living in Reefton for quite a while, and that definitely influenced me as a person. And after that, we came back here to Christchurch.
Nice. And what does your week entail? What do you get up to?
I paint, or should be painting, and I do some art lessons, a variety of different people in classes, and I look after my mum and dad, who are elderly, and muck about.
You come and hang out with us at church?
Yep, I go to church.
Nice. How would you describe the sort of painting that you do? Has it got a style? I'm not very good with painting descriptions, but what are the sorts of things that you're into in terms of?
I'm definitely into trees and mist, I'm into the mystery,
Nice.
and I like to daydream and look at different things and just imagine what a painting that could be. Even just the ordinary things, making them quite beautiful, like trees and pathways and signposts and just different things like things that fly.
I've seen quite a few of yours have water in them.
Yeah, water. I love water. I love being able to see through water into the stones. I like to paint that. I like to look at that, so I like to paint that.
And what sort of preferred medium do you have?
I paint with acrylics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do a little bit of drawing, but I'm not really very good at drawing. I'd much rather paint. Yeah.
Nice to know what you like doing. So, what was it that got you interested in art in the first place?
Well, I was making cupcakes, and I was producing very beautifully decorated cupcakes, and I used to give them away to all my friends in Reefton because we were on the coast at the time, and really there's nothing much for a woman to do in Reefton. It's very a man-orientated type of place with the mine there, and it was a busy place at the time. And I think it will be too again. I think they're opening another mine up in Reefton, so that's a great thing. So I was making the cupcakes and decorating them and getting into the roses on the top and all the giving my husband beautifully decorated cupcakes to take up to the mine.
I'm sure he loved that, did he?
Not so much, but
I bet he loved eating them.
he loved eating them, and it turns out that some of the miners really were jealous and wanted some too, so I sent a basket full of decorated cupcakes up to the mine. So, but while I was researching icing, come across an art lesson, and I thought, this is on YouTube, so I thought, oh, I could give that a go. So I did, and my friends were like, oh my gosh, did you do that? And I was feeling, yeah, I did that, and I was quite surprised that I did that too, actually. Yeah.
Why was that a surprise to you? You know, what was there in the background of that made that surprising?
Because I thought that I couldn't paint. I thought I was no good at painting. I thought it was no good.
Had you painted as a kid?
I, as a child, painted everything and on everything, and particularly loved painting horses, and I loved painting. It was my thing. When I went to college, actually, there was an art teacher there, and my parents thought that I was so interested in art, and they believed in me and believed in my drawings and what I was painting at the time, that they wanted me to have art lessons extra up on top of what I was doing at school. But the art teacher said no to my parents. He said that I had no talent and I would never do anything with that. So it was a devastating remark.
That was in your first year at school?
This is my third form year, first year of high school. So I continued through, very determined I was with the art, and did art all the way through my college years. But of course I failed school cert art.
And was this teacher the same teacher?
Same teacher all the way through.
So you had to try and do your craft while knowing the person teaching didn't believe in you?
That's absolutely right.
What was that like for you?
As a teenager, I think it was a frustration, not being noticed, a big frustration really, not being able to to please the artist teacher. Yeah.
Because even though he'd said that, he was still the one you wanted to actually show, yes, I can do this.
Yep, that's it. But never got there. So then when I failed, I was so devastated that I thought, oh, they must be right. So I gave up.
Wow.
I just gave up, didn't do any more painting, no more art, no more nothing.
Yeah.
Not until I got made redundant. And then I started doing some watercolours just because I was out of my tree when we got made redundant. We were losing our house, we were losing everything. And then my husband got the job over in Reefton and we moved there.
So you'd had this little dabble in watercolours and then you turned that into cupcakes?
Turned it into cupcakes and giving cupcakes away to everybody, and this cupcakes was my thing.
Yeah, cool. So you're doing the cupcakes, you saw this course online, you did some paintings, some of your friends saw it. Tell us what happened from there.
Well, two of my friends were artists, and one of them was Charlie Gray, and she just said, come on to my place and do some painting with me. And did some painting, and she took my original painting that I had done on YouTube. I just followed a YouTube painting instruction and gave it to Alison Hale, who is she's quite a well-known artist. And they were like, oh, wow, you should be at the gallery. Alison was opening a gallery at the time in Reefton.
Alright, so you went from decorating cupcakes to you should be in the gallery?
Yeah.
In 10 seconds flat?
In about 10 days.
Wow.
In about 10 days.
And this is the girl who can't do art?
I can't do art. So,
wow.
Yeah, so about in 10 days. So, and I was just minding the gallery, and Alison said, oh, you can put up some of your paintings, do some paintings while you're in the gallery. So she showed me a little bit, a little few techniques, and I picked up a lot through watching YouTube. I had perhaps one art lesson, and that was in oils, and that was the last painting I've done in oils, and I've continued with the acrylics. And then my paintings just seem to have got better and better. And probably about a month or two after that, I had a wall in the front gallery.
Wow.
And I started selling my paintings and selling more paintings. And now I've got paintings as far away as England, America, Ireland, Singapore, Egypt, India.
That's incredible.
Loads and loads in Australia.
Right.
All the way through New Zealand.
Yeah.
So I've sold so many paintings, and apparently I can't paint.
If you could go back to that teacher, or if you met that teacher now, what is it that you would like to say to that person?
I would say, don't judge a person. Their creative way is their creative way, and that everybody has their own style, and you don't need to fit into that box. You can create the way you can create. There is no wrong in art, and that's what I tell all of my students. You can't do your art wrong. You can't paint a tree wrong. You can't paint the sky wrong. There's nothing you can paint wrong. It's all your own interpretation. I would say don't judge. And that's why there's so many different styles of artists out there.
Yeah.
And we just get to enjoy what they create.
That's amazing. And so, like you've got art in galleries around the place, and
Yes.
You say you've sold all these. Like, where do you sell them? Do you sell them
Mostly,
in the galleries?
yeah, through galleries and exhibitions. Yep.
And how did people all over the world find out about Michelle Green?
I guess they just came into a gallery and saw a painting and totally loved it.
Yeah.
I do have, I did have a website. I've since decided not to have that anymore. So you can find me, Michelle's Artworks, on Facebook.
Right. Cool. I'll make
Or
sure.
Michelle Green Artist. Yeah.
I'll make sure I put that in the show notes so people can find that. But that just the whole story blows my mind, to be honest. The whole fact that you got told this is something that you couldn't do, even though this is the thing you were most passionate about, and then you found out actually I can do that. How long between that, do you mind me asking? How long between when you stopped and when you picked it up again?
30 something years.
Wow. So for 30 or more years, you believed that you couldn't do it.
I believed I was no good at art. I always loved art.
Wow.
I always wished I could, but I thought I was no good. Couldn't do it.
And then suddenly it's exploded
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
the whole world, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So how does your experience of having been told that influence what you do now? Is there does it come out in themes that you paint? Does it come out in the way that you interact with others?
It doesn't affect my painting because pretty much I'll get the idea or I'll be inspired by something and then I'll just go and paint it.
Yeah.
So it hasn't affected me in that way, but only that I'll get a bit nervous,
Right.
and I can get a bit anxious and worried
Yeah.
that I'm going to achieve this thing, but
Right.
I just need to push through. And I think I would tell everybody that there's always a stage in your painting and you absolutely hate it and you could throw it away. But if you can just push through that, you can get to where you want. And for teaching art, I just encourage everybody that, there's no wrong and it's just giving it a go. And, if it's no good, just paint over it. 15 minutes away from starting again. So it's no big deal. It's only paint.
Right. And so basically you've chosen to not be that teacher.
No.
In the way that you approach people.
No. I encourage everybody.
How have people responded to that?
I think people blossom. And I've had some classes where people probably in the same boat as me have come to my classes because they've had this deep desire to want to paint, but thought that they couldn't, ending up in my class and finding that I'm nowhere the same as the teacher that I had, and some people will cry and it's just a release, and it's okay, I've got tissues, and other people they laugh, they're just so happy, and it's just such a freedom for them to find that there's no judgment, and you can paint the wonkiest tree and you'll go and find one in nature.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there's not trees that are perfectly shaped.
No.
How, through all of this experience, where does your faith sit amongst that? Is it a part of your art journey, or do you see them as separate things, or how does that work for you?
Well, my faith in Jesus is at the centre of my art, more or less the focal point. I'm very inspired by mysteries, I guess, and his calling, and is especially my tree paintings. They're an invitation to wander the path of Jesus, to walk towards the light, to find what you're looking for. And I think everyone's looking for Jesus deep down inside, whether they know it or not. And I've had people buy paintings, tree paintings before, and messaged me and to say that they've just got so much meaning, and that they find themselves looking at them, and I just think that that's the Lord beckoning them to. Potentially, it's the Lord beckoning them into a bit of thought.
I have to say it's really refreshing to be sitting in the studio of an artist who's driven by their faith, and their studio is not filled with a whole lot of pictures of Jesus. It's not, you're not just painting the cross over and over again. Not that there's anything wrong with that, if that's what people feel called to, but actually that's not the only way to express your faith, through this creative method. So I look at your trees and things and just I see what you're saying. That there's something about them that just calls you in. And make sure you go and have a look on Facebook at some of these pictures, because they're pretty amazing. You've done some pictures of birds as well, which I just find beautiful. And we've got a couple of them hanging up at North City.
Yeah.
And they've always been really meaningful to me. I don't even know where I'm going with that question, but I just really like them.
I was asking the Lord for something different, and He gave me an impression of the 3D and the looking through the three pieces of glass, and the meaning behind the 3 pieces of glass, and the depth of that. So I was painting the birds on the 3 pieces of glass. So that had a meaning to me. But so I haven't got so many of those. They're very time consuming to do.
Yeah, but very beautiful when you finish them.
Thank you.
So you were at North City for a while, and you'd mentioned to me that you were interested in art, but I didn't realise that this was what you did. And it wasn't until you showed Donald a painting that you'd done, which had connected to a sermon that he'd spoken, and then he showed that around the office, and we were all just like blown away. That was for a competition, wasn't it? Over in
India.
India. Do you want to tell us about that?
India, yeah. I'm very fortunate to have been to India 3 times and to have got involved with some artists over there, which was totally like a gift. And they asked me. I didn't like to enter the competitions much because, I don't know, a little bit of my old teacher in there. So I don't enter many competitions. So anyway, they asked me to enter a competition, and it turns out I won. But the story of that was about perfection. I was doing ballerinas. They were dancing together and representing togetherness. And I wanted to paint a male and a female being one, moving together. And I couldn't get the profile of the man's face right. And I kept painting over and over and kept getting the same face. And I was getting so frustrated, so I went to church, and I was on the deadline of having to get this painting through. And it just wasn't even listening to anything that was being said in church, and I was just looking at all the profiles of all the men there, and I'm thinking, well, this isn't getting me anywhere because they're all different. Yeah. And then Donald says about nothing is. He basically talking about nothing being perfect in life, and I was like, I was just like, that totally was just the right thing to be saying to me. And so then I went away and I just entered the competition as it was. It wasn't perfect. And lo and behold, I won.
And your not perfect painting won.
And my not perfect painting won. So then it's just been a revelation that, it doesn't have to be perfect. I don't have to get so tight about being perfect. It was okay. Yeah.
It sounds like, as you're sharing about these different things, that there's still some of what that teacher said still comes up for you. Do you find that the painting is a healing act as you do that, or are there other ways that you've tried to process that sort of stuff?
Well, as it does come up, I think the Lord just teaches me one little step at a time, and it's just an unveiling and a revealing in every painting, and every painting has a new lesson to it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of us that have heard those words of you can't do this, or you're not good at this, or it's not good enough, all of those kind of things. And I just love that your story is one of going, okay, that's what someone said, and actually my life has shown that that's not true. And yet there's still that thing there going, actually, if I'm honest, that still has an impact on me. And I think a lot of us carry those sort of scars that we carry around, these things from our past that just niggle and push, and they do hinder us. They stop us from doing stuff. And so I love hearing that you can, or that you're telling yourself, actually push through. You know, don't believe that. Don't give up. You know, even after all the success you've had, you're still going, oh no, man, this isn't perfect. You know, push through.
You've still got to push.
Yeah, and yet in the middle of all of that, there's also the joy of going and sharing with other people, so that they can do stuff that they have been told they can't do, or that they've never thought that they could do. And I've seen some of the paintings that people have done in your classes, and the people who were showing them to me said, I never thought I could do this.
Yeah.
And that was after only sort of one evening.
Yeah.
They came away going, I never thought I could paint anything like this.
Yeah.
And so that's just a remarkable gift that you're giving people.
And to me, it's so much fun, and it was my absolute and utter pleasure to be blessing somebody with showing them how, because it's like breaking the power of a lie by showing someone how easy it really is if you're just breaking it down, and all of a sudden, I can actually paint after all. It's not rocket science at all.
Yeah. It's once you take away what they have in their head about what they're supposed to be doing, isn't it? I find the same with when I run some spoken word workshops, and there's people who don't want to give it a go because they can't do poetry, but their experience of it is high school English.
Yeah.
And that's for some people, and it's not for other people. And so, in the workshops I run, I have the same experience of people going, oh wow, I found I could do that when you took away some of those barriers that I thought were there that actually aren't there. So that's really cool. Do you have it's probably asking someone to choose between their children, but do you have a favourite painting that you've done?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
It hangs in my lounge. It's the girl dancing, and it's actually me dancing before the Lord, and it's a very special painting.
Nice.
It's not for sale.
And it's nice to have those.
Yeah.
That aren't just something that you've done for someone else, but something that means something to you as well.
But then after I finish nearly every painting I ever do, I think, I'm not going to sell you, you're too good. But I do sell them.
Yeah.
But the girl dancing is very special.
Yeah. How do you put a value on a painting?
Oh, well, that's really hard, and I struggle with that. And because I don't want to be one of those expensive artists, because I want it to be something that's anyone could have a piece of art if they really wanted to. And I think art really enhances every space when it's authentic, not something that you can get from the warehouse. Although I have warehouse pictures up in my house. So there's a place for that. But
if you find this something that means something to you? Yeah,
that's it. But I think real art with real paint has its own presence, and it's really something that people admire, and it's a talking piece and something that you get to really enjoy.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for spending time talking to us. I just love your journey, I don't love that there was pain in your journey, but I love that you've pushed through that pain and that you've found a space where you can be blessed by doing your art and you can bless others with it. So thank you for helping to bring a bit of heaven down to earth.
Thank you, Andy. It's a great honour to share this.
So I'm just going to say it again. Wow. What an amazing story to have someone speak those kind of words over your life at such an early age. And you can hear how that made a huge difference for the direction of Michelle's life. And yet it was also amazing to hear how that got turned around in the blink of an eye. It was like the potential that she'd had that had sat there dormant for so long was suddenly gifted back to her and flourished beyond belief. So she's a real testament to how detrimental words can be when they're spoken wrongly over people. Yet she's also a testament to what can be achieved when you can push through some of what you don't believe about yourself and have a go at things and find out what it is that you're good at. I think one of the big things for me is something that I'm really passionate about. So I guess that's why I've noticed it, but is about the power of words. And the words that this teacher spoke, he couldn't have known how deep they would cut. I'd be really interested to hear what that same teacher would have to say if he saw Michelle's artworks now, because I can't imagine anyone looking at them, even if it's not your cup of tea, I can't imagine anyone looking at them and saying that she has no talent. So it's a good reminder to us that words are powerful. And when used negatively, they can cause a lot of harm. They can cause a lot of pain, a lot of unnecessary anguish for people. And yet, when words are used to support people, to believe in them, it can just make the world of difference. I can't even imagine what it would be like to have been Michelle and had her friends say to her, "You should be in a gallery." Those words must have been so amazingly life-giving to her after more than 30 years of believing what someone else had said about her art. I also love, though, that Michelle hasn't just then run with her art as something she does for herself. I guess by definition, we do our art for other people, but she wasn't just satisfied to do her paintings and sell them. She also looked at her own journey and went, I bet there's other people like me. And so she stepped into that space of going, hey, if you think you can't, come and have a go and I'll show you that you can. And like I said in the interview, I've seen people who have been to her art lessons come out of it just bewildered by what they could do when someone got alongside them and showed them. And I think that's a huge lesson for life, not just a lesson for art, that it's amazing what people can achieve with the right amount of support. And I mean, that goes across all the conversations that we've been having, conversations about youth homelessness. You know, it's amazing what those rangatahi can achieve when someone gets alongside them and supports them. You know, conversations about mental well-being. Again, it's amazing what can be achieved when people support one another, get honest with one another, talk to one another, just get behind one another. So, yeah, so many things to be taken from today. Michelle, you are a real blessing to this world. Thank you so much for giving your time and for what you do to help to bring a bit of heaven down to earth. Thanks again to Ignition Networks who support the podcast. Thanks also to all of you for listening. I'd really appreciate if you enjoy this podcast. Please share it. Tell your friends and family, post it on social media, let other people know about it so we can grow what we're doing here and help to bring a bit of heaven down to earth in more spaces. Next time we have my good friend Kat Poi, who is going to be talking to us about having courageous conversations about race. It's something that has been a huge part of her life and something that she's actually involved in PhD research about as well. So yeah, that's a really powerful interview, really great conversation. You don't want to miss that one. And for those who are new, my usual way of ending this is for us to pray the Lord's Prayer together, because within the Lord's Prayer is a reminder that actually what this is all about is bringing that bit of heaven down to earth. So yeah, let's finish with the Lord's Prayer. Me inoi tātou.
E tō mātou matua I te rangi, kia tapu tō ingoa, kia tau mai tō rangatiratanga, kia mea te tau e pai ai ki runga ki te whenua, kia rite anō ki tō te rangi. Humai kia mātou ai nei, he taro mā mātou mō tēnei rā. Muro o mātou hara, me mātou hoki e muru nei I o te hunga, e hara ana kia mātou. Aua hoki mātou e kawea, kia whakawaia. Engari whakaorangi a mātou I te kino.
Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. May your kingdom come. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our sins as we forgive those who sin against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.